Hi, Sal Duffer. Happy New Year to everybody. Didn't give much chance over Christmas to do any videos, just too busy with other stuff. We haven't been out shopping, mind. We bought this and a little quad you can't see from my youngest granddaughter. We got a red one, a green one and a yellow one now. We bought this from a chap. He sold it because it had low compression, and he reckoned it was because the aluminium crankcase door is leaking, and that's not. This is a 4-stroke. Low compression on a 4-stroke is just leaky valves, worn piston and rings, worn bore, leaking out the plug hole and stuff like that. So I thought we'd take it to bits and show why. It's definitely leaking out of the exhaust valve, and I'll show you that in a minute. Hopefully the microphone will pick it up. And it was also leaking out where the plug went in. I hope the camera will pick this up. That is a made in Canada Champion number 7, and it should have a sealing washer on the bottom. Don't have a focus, which it was missing. But where this is such a tight aperture, it wouldn't go down in anyway, so it was leaking out of there. But what I normally do, I'll show you, I change over all 18mm plugs like this to standard 14mm long reach, and I used to make them myself, but I don't anymore now. There's no point. I think these came from the Green Spark Plug company. I could be wrong, but they're out there on the internet. It's basically an adapter to go from 18mm, I'll show that on there, 18mm to 14mm plug. And the simple reason being is, doesn't matter what plugs you put in this, because they don't glaze the tip of the plug anymore, and the chemicals that are in modern unleaded fuel get into the plug, because they don't burn off, because these run at a lower temperature because of lower compression. These only run at 100 degrees at sea level maximum, boiling point of water. These chemicals get into the plug and knacker it, and it breaks down and it won't do anything. Now, you know, cheap standard, this is a BPR 60S. I generally use BP 60S, non-resistive plugs, because it's magneto ignition. You've got to give it all the help you can get. That's a AccuSpark AC9, I think, in there. You can use the longer reach plug than the original shorter reach. I'll pick that up. 18mm, simply because you're using the adapter and it takes up the space. And these are like £1.50, 60, so something like that, less than £2. Was 18mm plugs like D16s and others, they're like £5 a go, and they don't last. So, you know, put the adapter in and go with the 14mm, the cheaper plug, you know. Use a sealing washer on the adapter, just like a spark plug, and once you put it in, nip it up a bit tighter than the plug, and away you go. Job done. Now save yourself a bob or two. Now then, we're going to have to pull the hat off, its cylinder head off, and this whole governor and magneto assembly to get at the valve. This is a side valve engine. There's not a lot other than that to get into it, and I can't remember on these, but these have got adjustable tappets, so we've got to grind the bottom of the valve off. You'll probably all be familiar with the old Briggs & Stratton horizontal engine on your lawnmower. They don't have, their side valve, they don't have adjustable tappets. You have to grind the bottom of the valve off if you do a valve job. And a lot of people have ground their valves in and actually bottomed out the valve and wonder why they don't go, and they bring them to me to get them going. But I've got a starting handle here, one I made for my PA. I'm hoping the microphone will pick this up, but that hissing sound is combustion gases. So piston goes down on the intake stroke, sucks your air fuel mixture in, and then piston comes back up on compression stroke, and it shouldn't make that hissing sound out of the exhaust. I hope that's picking up. So that's the job in hand. We will pull its hat off to start with. We've got a few bolts missing here and there, so we've got to sort that out. So I will quickly disassemble this. I say quickly, I'll get it to bits. So I'm not sure whether the tank leaks. This will, it's got something in there. Hello, hello, hello. Oh yeah, look at that. I think this might need a bit of a repair. Might try to pick that up. I think we might be full of plastic pudding or something. Certainly somebody was having a go at it. This will be available to purchase if somebody, once I've done the valves and got it running. The mag sparks well, so if somebody would like an engine to paint up for the show season, you don't see many of these, primarily because most of them blew up. There's a lot of Mazak magnesium alloy components, monkey metal to some people. on these, and they do have a habit of self-destructing. But this is complete, so, and somebody's made a little wooden trolley. I don't bother with wood because it rots and it's a pain. So I'm going to just pull everybody over here and get set up. Right, I'll quickly whip the hat up. I have noticed, unfortunately, somebody's put the cylinder head on, or the hat as I call it, with instant gasket. Nice, RTV. We may have to make a gasket. You can get gasket material, which you can, in sheets, which is good enough for these, that you can make a new cylinder head gasket, sort of composite material type stuff. There is no need to use instant gasket. So let's see. Oh, hello. That's loose. What if they're all loose? Yeah. So if it's got a loose cylinder head and it was leaking out the plug hole and it's got a leaky exhaust valve, it didn't stand much chance, really, did it? But the young lad was and his family were absolutely convinced it was the crankcase. And when I tried to tell them that's not what it was, and I wasn't trying to beat them down on price or anything, they just looked at me in disbelief. So I don't know quite where they got their reasoning from that it was kind of going to be the crankcase door. I will show you the crankcase door when we get there, because I have got to make a new gasket for it, and they are known for, as I said earlier, sort of breaking up and distorting, and it should have the exhaust. They had the wrong one. It's a little pepper pot. It should have one that's round and comes up here with a squashed pipe about here. I made one for mine. I've never actually restored mine. Somebody pulled the magneto off of it without taking the gear off on the inside and damaged the gear, and which I've sorted out, and I had to put a Wyco mag on it instead of this Lucas one that should be on it. So and that's as far as I've ever got, and I've had it about 15-16 years. It's just one of those jobs I'm probably never going to get round to. Right, they weren't tight at all. So let's whip this off and have a quick look, see what we got, and then I'll hopefully get the governor housing off without having to take the flywheel off, so I can set it up TDC on compression, and it should have marks on the timing gear. If not, we'll mark it, and then we can take that whole assembly off so we can get the valve springs. Oh, and a bit of news on the Renault truck. The owner has gone to France to pick up an allegedly good running engine. It's just going round and round. Oh, whole stud's coming up. The word. If that'll undo my hand now. No, not quite. Oh, do come here. So this is the boring bit. You know, fight me to the end. A lot of the trouble with a lot of these old engines, they go between so-called enthusiasts who don't really have a clue what they're doing, and they get bodged and fixed, or not fixed should I say, and they finally end up either as part engines, because nobody can get them to run, often quite because of a simple problem like leaky valves. And I just can't get it to run. And I don't mean just these, I mean stationary engines in general. Or they get painted to within an inch of their lives, and people wax lyrical over the colour, yet they run like a bag of spanners being shook, you know, and absolutely no idea what they're doing. But they look nice. Come on, let's get this hat off before everybody falls asleep. Right. Hello, hello. Right. No carbon in here or anything like that. I'll bring it in the camera. It's very clean, so somebody's been in here. Somebody's definitely been in here. I need to get that nut out and dropped. Yeah, there's absolutely no. Okay, yeah, the gasket is absolutely totally, yeah, bits of silicone. I hate that. Do not put silicone on your gasket. It really isn't required. Right. Okay, pair of pliers and pull that out. Come here, you little monkey. So the idea of this is to get it going so it runs properly and reliably, and then somebody can take it on to paint it, which I hate. Painting things, because we've got to paint the RL. Oh God. Because we've now finished all the metal work. Right, let's bring this up. Right, let's get a few of these bits off. Take that out, which is the speed adjustment. As you wind that up, it pulls that spring up and it'll make it go faster. But it's supposed to run at 750 RPM. So, right, Salix carburetor, which will never work. Oh, that's not true, that's me being a bit unfair. They're generally alright, it's just when, like most things, when they get worn, they seem to have way too many complicated bits that could not work compared to others. This engine was actually designed by, I think it was Arthur Freeman Saunders, who designed the Lister D and then went to Fowler and designed this engine. It shares roller bearings instead of white metal bearings for the crank, same as a Lister D. Different bearing, the same idea. And this is a side valve, not a overhead valve like the Lister D. So it's probably done to cost. Oh, we've got to take that out, haven't we? It's cheaper to make a side valve than an overhead valve. And Fowler stationary engines were never as popular as Listers, or even Petters for that matter. Right, we will be making new gaskets and going through all of this, because judging by the state of it, we got water coming out of the carburetor. Ooh. Someone might have pulled this out of a hedge. Right, that's fine. Let's see if we can take the cover off. I'm hoping that that is going to come off without me having to take the flywheel off, because that's a whole load more pain if we've got to take the flywheel off. And I managed to do all the work on mine, because there's a gear on the end of this mag that sits in here, and whoever took the mag off, they took it off with a crowbar on mine and broke the gear out of the boss. So I had to machine the gear and make a new boss, and I put a Wyco A on mine because I quite like Wyco A's, they're quite reliable, and I happen to have one, so I've had to make that fit. I just need to strip it down and sort it out, because when you turn the crank, it rumbles terribly, so the roller bearings are shot on that one. This one's very, very smooth. So we will look at the big end, but I wanted to get the compression up and just prove a point without touching that inspection door that it was absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the aluminium inspection door is distorted. So I'll do all this first. And I've never actually had this, I've never taken this bit off on mine, so I have no idea whether these have got adjustable tappets or not. So we will find out shortly. I mean, it doesn't bother me about timing, just pulling the mag off and timing it up, but I wanted to see if there's a mark on there to show you guys that if there is a mark or how to do it properly. I'm quite happy to time mags up without timing marks and all the rest of it, but some people do struggle with that one. And this has got its cover, mag cover, and ID plate, all on. All of that, get your teeth in, was missing on mine. So I didn't pay a lot of money for it, and it was a very long time ago. Yeah, I'm going to have to move that flywheel. Oh, sod it. It's a bleeding nuisance, I don't not to have to. Oh, well, let's just see. It might come out. It's just the jib key. It depends whether a gorilla put that in there with a lump hammer and how long ago he did it is always the headache with those. I have a plate that goes behind it and then I can pull them off, and then the flywheel can still be stuck to the crankshaft. So there's a lot of instant goo here, so yeah, that should just fall off now. Can I wiggle that out, do you reckon? I'll bet I can't. Come here, you little monkey. Maybe. Come on, here, come. If I take the, yeah, we did wiggle it out. Yeah, lots of instant goo. I wish people wouldn't do that. So, I get my torch. I'll see if there's a mark on the, if I turn this, make it we can see. If not, I'll get the camera off there and you can have a look. Right, hello. Engine goes out in, that's top compression stroke, exhaust stroke, inlet stroke. Right, TDC. Have we got any marks on the crank on there? Hello. We got any marks? No, we haven't. Okay, we'll put one on there then. Somebody has marked it with paint by the looks of it in the past. Yeah. Right. Yeah, if you're not too sure and there's no mark on it, can you use a paint mark? But set your crankshaft at top dead centre. And a lot of stationary engines, we're on the top of the compression stroke because both valves are shut. And it's generally with the crankshaft upwards is TDC, and there's absolutely no marks on here at all, which I find that really strange, but that's absolutely fine. We will put a mark on there. Now sometimes you can get in there with a centre punch and put some dots on there, which will work, or you put a bit of Tipp-Ex on it or something of that nature. This will wipe the oil off. Just makes it a bit easier when it comes to put it back together. This may be timed wrong, of course. I haven't checked the timing for the ignition. The valves look right, but being someone's been in here, you never know. Right. Yeah, so, oh, there is a red mark there. Yeah, I don't know if I can get the camera off and you can actually see. I might use my little action cam here, that might help. Right, I'll shine that in there. And if I can get it in there, get in there. You can see that red mark there. There's a red mark on the sprocket, and there's a red dot on the other sprocket. So you can see the sort of mesh the two gears together. So that's what somebody's done, and that's absolutely fine. That's all you need to do. If you're not keen on timing stuff up yourself, assuming that it's correct, of course. We'll have to check that, but certainly, because that's the camshaft. The bigger of the two gears then is a camshaft driven off the crankshaft. Then you've got the governor and the intermittent, which is an intermittent gear that drives the mag. Right, we can now take that off. Now it's got some, I can see we've got some marks. So let's take the magneto housing off. Somebody's been in here before anyway. So we're into making a whole load of gaskets. And if you'd like to know how to make gaskets, I can do a video on how to make gaskets. Particularly difficult. And there's a nut in here as well. Hold on, we'll go on around it. One there. Yeah, my job today was, let's see if we can get into this, and I'll bet that one holds that on as well. There's a lot of loose things on here, so I reckon somebody's already done what I'm doing, but didn't resolve the low compression issue. If we have to pop a set of rings in it, we'll have to put a set of rings in it. It's no big deal. I have noticed, I looked on stationary engine parts, and a set of rings for one of this, and there's only, I think it's 3 rings, maybe 4 with the oil scraper, 50 odd quid plus post. So another resource I use is Cox and Turner. They're very good for valves, piston rings, in engine parts in general, and the very obscure. I've used them over the years. Cox and Turner. It's an interesting telephone conversation, because I think the guy I speak to down is as deaf as I am, so it's the deaf speaking to the deaf, which can get a bit comical, and sometimes we end up with the wrong size part. So I do email now if it sounds like they've got the bits. I've learned, we just email and say, okay, no, further to our telephone conversation, just so we get the parts the right dimensions. It sometimes helps. I think I ordered a set of rings for a Lister B, and they sent Lister D, and you can see how that would lose it in translation on a telephone, can't you? Get that out of the way. Right, wet that off. Yeah. I have a tin cover for the mag. The mag's cover is missing. I have another one of these mags off another engine, which I think's stuffed. So we can nick the tin cover off of that. Yeah, I wish people wouldn't use instant monkey glue to stick things back together. I really do. Can I get in there through there? So I'm being lazy. I don't want to take the flywheel off if I can avoid it. Because there's no need. There's nothing wrong with the crank bearings. They all spin freely and they don't rumble. So there's no need to remove the flywheel or get into the crank. But there is a few rust marks in the bore, and I'm not talking deep gouges or anything like that. It's just a little bit rusty. Somebody's obviously cleaned it up. So we may want to stick the hone down there and whack a set of rings in it. So, because I bet the rings are stuck. Just had water down the bore. Just been left with the valve open, it gets in there. Being there's water in the carb, I would imagine there's water in the bore. Is that going to come off easily? Probably not. Right, I've got one there. I'll take those two. I might have to get me get my copper and mallet and just give it a little bit of a tap. Right, wakey wakey. Come on, there's no more bolts on that, so that should just fall off. Yeah, they're all off. I don't want to jam a screwdriver in between the gasket faces if I can avoid it to get it off. There it goes. More monkey glue. Oh, there you go. There we are. Right, I'll turn that round. Has it got adjustable? Oh yeah, it's got adjustable tappets. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. I'll bring that in so you can see it a bit better. Hopefully, he says, if I zoom that in a bit and have a bit of a move around. Is that? Wait a second. Right. There you go. So you can see pretty much all of it. Good conrod. And all these rely on is a little dipper going into the oil at the bottom and flicking it around when this is whizzing round. You've got adjustable tappets there, you've got your valve springs. So what we need to do, I'm going to drain that oil out because it's disgusting. Because I'm going to drop something in there, guaranteed. So that is as complicated as these get. It doesn't look too bad. The crank doesn't look too rusty. And I can get the piston out. I'll bet it's got stuck piston rings. I think we'll take the conrod out. They do have shims in between the two halves of the big end assembly. There's shims, and so as the white metal big end wears, you can remove shims to take up any slack. But there's no real rust on the lows. They look pretty good. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, what we'll do, I want to dump the oil and get sort of reorganised, and we'll get the valves out. And I think we're going to pull the piston. It would make sense to pull the piston at this point, I think. And I can show you the bore a bit later on. We'll just get a bit reorganised and come back shortly. Don't go away. Right, sorry it's not brilliantly lit. I'll try and hold a torch up. I've got the split pins out, the castellated nuts here on the big end. I managed to get the back one out without taking that side cover off. Like I said earlier, I don't want to remove that if I can avoid it, because I want to prove that it wasn't that side cover. But I have my suspicions that we got stuck piston rings as well, because we do have a bit of rust in the bore. Now this, it probably won't show up on the camera, but this has got numbers on it. If there's no markings on your big end, put a centre dot on them so you know which way they went round, or a number. If you've got a number punch set, put number punch so you know what's what. And then again, if your piston's got markings on it, or not got any markings, sorry, and you're not sure, even if it's a multi-cylinder, put a mark on it so you know which direction it went back, came out, put it back in. That's obviously assuming nobody's been in there munging. And I have a suspicion someone has with this one. Okay, it's just a bit awkward because I can't get that. I don't want to take that back cover off. I may be forced to. I just wanted to prove a point, that was all. Because I'm under this distinct impression that the lad I got it from, wasn't a youngster, didn't believe a word I was saying. So I told you I dropped on there, didn't I? Hello, where you going? Right. Right. So, oh, that one's tight. Come on. Let go. Just give it a gentle wiggle. Don't want to get a bolt out. Oh, very good fit, I must admit. Right, one bottom shell. Ooh, that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. I'll show you. Bearing in mind that this is only dipper lubed, there's, you know, and any muck and snot that's in the bottom there go around the bearings as well. It's not bad at all. That looks pretty good. I'll bring this up here. Ooh, hey, focus. All right, come on. Again, I'll get a bit better light on it so you can see. Yeah, there's a bit of a little sort of staining down the middle of the big end shell, but it's not badly scored or grooved. And there's a good surface area, so that will go again on an engine like this. You got to remember, this isn't a high performance engine at all. Okay, up you go. You little shit. No, up we go. We're going out. Right. Up we go. Come on, up. Yeah, it's a bit stuck. And there isn't much of a groove. Well, I can't feel it. There's no real groove on the top of the bore. Bit of carbon, I think, but nothing. There we go. Voila. There you go. Yep. If I can get that to focus and show, get light on it for you. Top compression ring and half the second compression ring is stuck. Because I'd see there's a bit of watermarks on the, but nothing serious, it's perfectly usable. If I can get it to focus, right, that's better. You see, it's part of the ring sticking out, it should have all popped out, but the top ring is completely just stuck. And the second one is half stuck, and the third's no much better. So that's another reason this engine had no compression, or next to no compression. Let's have a look at the crank big end journal, because sometimes they get water damaged. This looks pretty good. So the main bearings feel very good, and they're roller bearings. So, and the cam looks good. So yeah, we could hone that bore. I'll have to get my little action camera, I think, to I think my torch has gone flat as well. Let's take those off a minute and put another torch battery in, and we'll have a look down the bore. It'll probably hone up. Make it perfect, you need to rebore it, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a stationary engine, you know. Pup, pup, pup. It'll work fine. Now then, get me a little action camera here. If I shine that down in there, hopefully you'll be able to see. It's not deep scoring or anything like that, and it's obviously had water in it. It's been sat outside and water's got down the bore, but that will clean up with a hone. Just clean that up a bit there. Yeah, so the next job is to hone things about and see if we can unstick these rings. What I'm going to do, I'm going to leave them to soak in some diesel. Diesel works wonders, and maybe apply a bit of heat will often expand them out, and then we can get one off once we've honed the bore and put it in and see where we are wear wise, because there's so little wear in the crank assembly And the bore itself, this is probably not done a lot, and it's just got left outside to the elements, which is quite often happens when things got electrified. Electric motor in to do the job instead of the stationary engine, and the engine got pushed outside, and that was it. And that's quite a common tale. So I need to get rejigged here a bit. Right, this isn't a particularly, it's a bit difficult to see, but this isn't a very aggressive hone. It's a 3-stone, fairly fine. I just want to clean it up. I don't want to take loads of material off. So we'll just give it a bit of that, and it'll deglaze it and hopefully clean up some of the rust marks. So I'm just not looking to take much off. Obviously if you wanted it perfect or it was really bad, you bore it out, sleeve it back to standard because the piston's okay, and then re-ring it. But that gets expensive. And you have to draw the line somewhere, you know, and it's I don't know whether you can see that. I can get a light in there so you can see it. Well, that doesn't look too bad. Yeah, there's a very slight wear in the bore, lip in the bore. I can barely feel it with my finger, so I'm not going to get too emotional. It's more just surface rust, really. We'll give that a bit more. And I'm pretty sure it will be good enough. The rings popped out the piston with a little bit of a wiggle, so that was quite good. And this is as complicated as it gets. Obviously we've got a lot of cleaning up to do, we've got the valve to do yet, but yeah, it had just about everything you could imagine wrong with this one. Doesn't have any compression, a loose spark plug, leaky valve, stuck piston ring. Yeah, that's come up pretty good actually. I'm not going to achieve a lot more by going mad at it. Hopefully that'll pick up. I think you can see there's a bit of a ridge there, but yeah, that's fine. The rust is only superficial. It's really more watermarks. Quite happy with that. So we'll clean that up. Well, let's see if I can get a piston ring off, shall we? If I can get top compression ring off without breaking it. Yeah. Which is always interesting. And see what ring gap we've got. Oh, success! They need to come off and clean out the back of the ring groove anyway, because they're usually full of crud. Right, and these rings, if I can get it in there, they don't have a straight slot, it's at an angle. So we'll just pop that in there. What we got? Oh, they're pretty good. That's pretty difficult to see, trying to get the camera in here to see it, but because it's at an angle and not an ordinary slot, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We'll clean the ring grooves up and reuse the rings, they'll be absolutely fine. They unstuck really easily too, so we'll call that it. for this part of the video, I think, and we'll probably do a part 2. I think we'll get the valves out and regrind the valves and show you how to do all that. So yeah, we'll call that it for part 1 of the Fowler PA. Not restoration, getting it going, I think we'll call it. Getting some compression and getting it going. So yeah, we'll see you again in part 2.